We all want certainty, we crave it, we plan for it, we chase it, and sometimes we exhaust ourselves trying to control outcomes that were never in our control to begin with. But what if I told you the greatest certainty you'll ever need doesn't come from what's around you? It comes from how you choose to show up. Act as if everything always works out for you. Not because life is perfect, not because every step is easy, but because your belief, your posture, your energy, your conviction changes everything. And when you believe things will work out, your behavior changes. You stop hesitating, you stop doubting, you stop playing small, you walk into rooms differently, you speak with clarity, you lead with trust, not because you know exactly how the story ends, but because you're anchored in something bigger than fear. Belief is the invisible force that shapes every action we take. It's not just a feeling, it's a framework. It defines how we see ourselves, how we interpret the world, and how we respond to challenges. The truth is, our behavior rarely comes from logic alone. More often, it flows from belief. What we believe about our capabilities, about others, about life itself. And that belief, whether empowering or limiting, sets the tone for everything that follows. When someone believes they're capable, even if they're still learning, they approach problems with curiosity instead of fear. They step into opportunities even when they're uncomfortable. They speak up even when their voice shakes. Why? Because belief drives behavior. It doesn't guarantee perfection, but it ensures progress. It tells your mind and body, this is safe, you're ready, keep going. And so you do. But the opposite is also true. When someone doesn't believe they're enough, they hold back. They second guess themselves. They avoid risks not because they can't handle them, but because they've convinced themselves they can't. It's not reality stopping them, it's belief. If you've ever known someone brilliant who never reaches their potential, or someone talented who never steps into the spotlight, it's rarely a lack of skill. More often, it's a lack of belief in their ability to navigate what comes next. This is why the concept of acting as if everything always works out is so powerful. It's not about pretending problems don't exist. It's about choosing a belief system that supports forward motion. When you carry yourself as if life is on your side, your energy shifts. You make decisions from a place of trust, not desperation. You don't need to control everything because you believe things will unfold as they're meant to. That belief fuels a calm confidence, and that confidence leads to better outcomes. Think about any great leader you admire. They're not great because they have all the answers. They're great because they believe in a vision, and that belief fuels their actions. People follow them not because they're perfect, but because they're consistent. Their belief is steady, and in uncertain times, we don't look for people with perfect plans. We look for people who carry belief. That belief creates psychological safety, inspires courage, and drives meaningful action. Belief isn't just personal, it's contagious. When you believe in yourself, you unconsciously give permission for others to believe in themselves too. When you show up grounded, others feel more secure. When you lead with optimism, others find strength in your presence. This is how cultures change. This is how movements start. One person choosing to believe in something better and acting like it's already on the way. But belief must be chosen daily. It's not a one-time decision, it's a discipline. Especially in moments when things don't go your way. Especially when the outcome is uncertain. You don't wait for evidence before you believe first. And the evidence often follows. So ask yourself, what belief are you operating from right now? Are you stepping forward with confidence or holding back out of fear? Are your actions reflecting trust in the process or mistrust in yourself? Because whatever you believe, whether consciously or not, it's driving your behavior. And if you want to change the way you move through life, you must start by changing what you believe is possible for you. Not someday, not when things are perfect, but right now. When you choose belief, you unlock behavior that aligns with growth, courage, and leadership. You stop surviving, and you start building something that lasts. The way we think, the mindset we carry, shapes how we interpret everything around us. Two people can face the exact same situation and walk away with completely different experiences. Why? Because our mindset determines the story we tell ourselves about what's happening. It's not the event that defines us, it's the meaning we assign to it. A person with a growth mindset sees challenges as opportunities. When something goes wrong, they don't automatically assume they've failed. Instead, they ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? That question alone rewires the entire experience. Instead of becoming a victim of circumstances, they become a student of life. They use adversity to get better. They use setbacks as fuel. On the other hand, someone with a fixed mindset often sees obstacles as confirmation that they're not good enough. They take failure personally. Instead of seeing it as part of the journey, they treat it as a final judgment. And that mindset, over time, shapes their reality. They stop trying, they settle, they stay small, not because they lack potential, but because they've convinced themselves that change isn't possible. Your mindset influences what you notice, what you focus on, and what you believe is within your control. If you believe the world is full of opportunity, you begin to see it everywhere. If you believe people are generally good, you find kindness in unexpected places. If you believe you're capable of overcoming hardship, you act accordingly, even when it's hard. But if your mindset is rooted in fear, scarcity, or self-doubt, your reality shrinks. You begin to anticipate the worst. You expect rejection. You brace for disappointment. And even when good things happen, you question whether you deserve them. That mindset distorts your perception, and perception is reality. This is why acting as if everything always works out is so powerful. It's not naive optimism. It's a mindset strategy. When you carry the belief that life unfolds in your favor, even when it doesn't look like it yet, you start to move with purpose and calm. You stop overreacting to every minor setback. You trust the timing. You stop fighting the moment and start flowing with it. Think about how your life changes when you shift your internal narrative from, why is this happening to me, to, what is this trying to teach me? One mindset leaves you stuck. The other opens the door to possibility. When your mindset is strong, reality doesn't have to be perfect for you to make progress. You no longer need ideal circumstances to take the next step. You just need to believe that progress is possible. It's not about ignoring your problems, it's about refusing to give them more power than they deserve. A strong mindset doesn't mean you never feel doubt or fear, it means you don't let those emotions decide your direction. You acknowledge them, but you keep moving anyway. And with each step forward, your mindset strengthens. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to believe that no matter what comes, you'll find a way through it. Your reality is being shaped moment by moment, not just by what happens to you, but by how you choose to see it. Every time you shift your mindset toward resilience, gratitude, or optimism, you rewrite the story. You create a different future by changing your interpretation of the present. So the question becomes, what kind of reality are you building with your mindset right now? Is it one of fear or of faith? Is it closed or expansive? Because your life will rise or fall to the level of your mindset. And when you choose a mindset that serves you, reality begins to reflect that choice, not instantly, not magically, but consistently over time through the compound effect of belief-driven action. Certainty is magnetic. It draws people in, not because it promises perfection, but because it offers stability in an unstable world. In a time when so many are uncertain about themselves, about the future, about their place in the world, the presence of someone who carries inner certainty becomes a rare and powerful force. It's not loud or forceful. It doesn't need to dominate. True certainty is quiet, grounded, and consistent, and that's what makes it so influential. When you act with certainty, others feel it. They feel it in your tone, your posture, your choices. It's the difference between speaking to convince and speaking from conviction. People are not influenced by how much you know, they're influenced by how deeply you believe in what you're doing. Certainty communicates belief. It tells the world, I'm not here to prove myself, I'm here to serve, to lead, to build something that matters. That kind of presence creates trust. Certainty doesn't mean you have all the answers. In fact, the most impactful people are the ones who are willing to say, I don't know, with confidence. Why? Because they're certain about who they are, even when the path is unclear. They're not pretending, they're not performing, they're grounded, and that self-trust is contagious. Others feel safe following them because they're not reacting, they're responding with clarity. So think about any situation where people are unsure, whether it's a team facing a crisis, a family navigating a tough decision, or a leader making a bold move. The person who leads the room isn't always the one with the loudest voice. It's the one who shows up with a calm presence and clear direction. They speak with intention. They don't get rattled easily. That steadiness builds influence because people instinctively trust what feels grounded. Now imagine what happens when you start showing up in your life with that kind of certainty. Not arrogance, not stubbornness, but quiet confidence. You make decisions faster. You communicate more clearly. You stop looking for validation in every direction. You stop apologizing for taking up space. That energy shifts the room. And people notice, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you're anchored in something deeper than approval. Certainty also removes friction from your actions. When you're certain about your purpose, you don't waste time second-guessing every move. You don't hesitate every time things get uncomfortable. You know why you're here, so you move with intention. And that consistency compounds over time. It builds credibility. People start to count on you, not because you never struggle, but because you keep showing up with the same grounded energy, regardless of what's happening. But here's what's important. Certainty isn't something you wait for. It's something you decide to live in. You don't need to have it all figured out to walk with confidence. You simply need to choose to believe that you'll figure it out along the way. That belief becomes your foundation. And from that foundation, you start to lead not just yourself, but others. People don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be steady. They need to know that when things get hard, you won't crumble. They need to feel your presence, your consistency, your conviction. That's what builds influence. That's what earns trust. So if you want to lead your team, your family, your life, start by cultivating certainty. Be the calm in the storm. Be the voice that doesn't waver. Be the one who shows up with clarity when others are caught in confusion. That kind of influence isn't given. It's built. One moment of grounded certainty at a time. One of the most important lessons in life is learning the difference between control and surrender. So much of our stress, anxiety, and frustration comes from trying to control things that were never ours to manage in the first place. We try to control other people's opinions, outcomes, timelines, even the past. And in the process, we lose peace, clarity, and sometimes ourselves. The truth is, lasting power comes not from controlling everything. It comes from knowing what to hold on to and what to release. Control is not the enemy. The things in your life you absolutely should take ownership of. Your attitude, your choices, your reactions, your discipline, your effort. These are all within your reach. When you take control of these things, you gain power. You begin to shape your life intentionally. You stop waiting for the world to hand you something and start building what you need. That's healthy control. That's accountability. That's leadership. But the problem starts when we try to take control of things that don't belong to us. You can't control how someone feels about you. You can't force people to understand you. You can't predict exactly when things will fall into place. And you can't avoid every setback or disappointment. When you try to grip tightly to these things, you create resistance. And resistance breeds stress. It turns your focus away from growth and into fear. Surrender is not weakness. It's not giving up. It's not being passive. Surrender is a conscious decision to release what you can't control so you can fully commit to what you can. It's letting go of the illusion that you need to have everything figured out before you take the next step. It's about trusting the process, even when you can't see the full picture. When you live from a place of control and surrender, working together, you become powerful and peaceful at the same time. You show up with energy, but not tension. You move with intention, but not obsession. You take responsibility for your actions, but you don't blame yourself for everything that doesn't go your way. You do your part, and you release the rest. This is a mindset shift. It's deciding, I'm going to give my best every single day, but I'm not going to carry the weight of things I can't change. That's how you protect your energy. That's how you stay emotionally healthy. Because when your peace depends on outcomes, it will always be at risk. But when your peace is rooted in purpose and perspective, it becomes unshakable. One of the strongest things you can ever do is to say, this part is not mine to carry. That's not quitting. That's wisdom. That's focus. You were never meant to fight battles that aren't yours. You were meant to stand strong where your feet are, give your full effort, and trust that what's meant for you will come in its time. This mindset doesn't eliminate struggle, but it changes how you move through it. Instead of being crushed by uncertainty, you lean into faith. Instead of fearing every detour, you stay open to what it might be teaching you. You realize that sometimes what looks like a setback is actually realignment. And often, the breakthrough doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from releasing the need to control every outcome. So control what you can. Be disciplined, be committed, be excellent, and surrender what you can't. Let go of the timing, the external validation, the need for everything to look perfect, because real strength lives in that balance. Real peace is found when you trust that you're doing your part, and the rest will work out as it's meant to. Faith is often misunderstood. People think it's just a feeling, something abstract, emotional, or reserved for moments of hope or desperation. But real faith, the kind that moves your life forward, isn't just about emotion. It's about action. It's a strategy. It's a deliberate mindset that shapes your decisions, your habits, and your ability to keep going when nothing around you makes sense yet. When you treat faith as a feeling, you only use it when you feel good. But feelings are inconsistent. They change with circumstances. One minute you're motivated, the next you're doubting everything. If your direction depends on how you feel, you'll spend your life stuck in a loop of false starts and hesitation. But when you treat faith as a strategy, something you choose, even when you don't feel it, you unlock consistency. You build momentum. You stop waiting for clarity and start moving toward it. Faith doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means facing reality with belief that something better is still possible. You might not know how the pieces will come together. You might not see the full path, but you move anyway, because faith is what keeps you going when logic says quit. It's what reminds you that progress is still happening, even when it's invisible. Faith says, I will keep building. I will keep showing up. I will keep doing the work, even when the results aren't instant. This is what makes faith a strategy. It becomes the lens through which you filter decisions. You stop asking, is this guaranteed, and start asking, is this aligned? You stop seeking constant reassurance and start trusting the process. You act not because you've been promised success, but because you've decided that you are worth betting on. Strategic faith shows up in discipline. It shows up in the person who wakes up early to work on a dream that nobody else sees yet. It shows up in the person who keeps leading with integrity, even when the shortcut would be easier. It shows up in resilience, in patience, in courage. Because faith isn't loud, it's steady. And that steadiness is what creates real transformation. The people who make the biggest impact aren't always the most talented or the most connected. Often they're just the most faithful. Faithful to the process, faithful to the vision, faithful to becoming who they said they would become. They're not chasing overnight wins. They're playing the long game. And in that long game, faith becomes the fuel. It's what helps them show up fully today, even when the finish line is still out of sight. That kind of faith is a choice, and it must be made daily. Some days it's easy, other days it's a fight. But either way, it's worth it. Because faith doesn't just change how you think, it changes how you live. It rewires your habits. It strengthens your endurance. It shifts your energy. It moves you from survival mode into creation mode. If you wait until everything feels certain before you move, you'll wait forever. But if you decide that faith is how you move forward, you take the pressure off needing everything to be perfect. You stop demanding guarantees. You start operating from alignment and vision, not fear. So don't treat faith like a feeling you hope to have. Use it like a tool, a strategy, a daily discipline. Say to yourself, even if I can't see the full picture, I'll keep building like it's possible. I'll act like it's coming. I'll live like it's already on the way. Because when faith becomes your strategy, doubt loses its grip, fear loses its power, and your life begins to reflect the quiet strength of someone who knows it's not about what you see today, it's about what you believe is being built through every step you take. Resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. And the foundation of that resilience is perspective. The way you see the world, the way you interpret your experiences, and the way you choose to respond to setbacks all determine how strong you truly are. Resilience doesn't start when things go wrong. It starts long before that, in the quiet moments, where you decide how you'll view life when it gets hard. Perspective is powerful because it shapes meaning. Two people can go through the same struggle and come out completely different. One becomes bitter, the other becomes stronger. What made the difference? Not the event itself, but the meaning they gave it. Your perspective defines whether something is the end or a new beginning, whether it's a wall or a stepping stone, whether it's defeat or redirection. Resilient people don't have easier lives. They see their lives differently. They understand that setbacks are not signals to stop. They're signs to slow down, refocus, or try another way. They see pain as a teacher, not a punishment. They don't waste energy asking, why me? Instead, they ask, what is this building in me? That shift in thinking changes everything. It turns moments of suffering into moments of growth. You can't control every challenge that comes your way, but you can always control how you frame it. You can decide whether it breaks you or builds you. That's not toxic positivity. It's strategic perspective. It's refusing to let hard moments define your identity. It's choosing to lead yourself even when the path is unclear. Resilience is also about zooming out. When you're in the middle of pain, it's easy to believe that the moment you're in is the whole story. But perspective reminds you it's just a chapter. The failure, the heartbreak, the disappointment, it's real, but it's not forever. Zooming out gives you the power to say, this is hard, but it's not the end. This is tough, but I've made it through worse. And that alone gives you the strength to take the next step. People think resilience is about pushing through at all costs. But sometimes resilience means pausing. It means resting without quitting. It means being kind to yourself while still holding the line. When you have the right perspective, you understand that strength doesn't always look like hustle. Sometimes it looks like grace. Sometimes it looks like walking away from what's no longer right for you. Resilience isn't just about endurance. It's about alignment. The most resilient people don't avoid failure. They've just trained their minds to see it differently. They see failure as feedback, as a redirection, as evidence that they tried something meaningful. They don't take it personally. They take it as part of the process. That's perspective. And with that perspective, they keep showing up. Resilience is built in the moments when quitting feels easier, but you choose to stay committed. It's built in the moments when you're misunderstood, but still stand in your truth. It's built in the quiet decisions when no one is watching, but you still do the hard thing. And all of that starts with how you see your situation, how you see yourself, how you see what's possible on the other side of this. So the next time life gets heavy, before you react, pause. Ask yourself, what perspective am I bringing to this moment? Because that perspective will either limit you or lead you. It will either lock you into fear or launch you into growth. The situation may not change immediately, but the moment your perspective shifts, your power returns. Resilience isn't about never falling. It's about rising with a deeper understanding every time you do. And the ability to rise again and again begins not with strength, but with perspective.